What's up everyone, welcome to this POV review by AutoTopNL. My name is Max and well, behold the wrath of the mighty ocean. We are in Lisbon, or we are near Lisbon in Portugal for the introduction of the all new BMW X2. And well, this is the intro spec, so all the cars here have this color, galvanic gold. So I decided to wear my galvanic gold sweater as well. 19-inch wheels as standard on this particular model, because this is the M Sport X model. So that means we get a lot of frozen gray elements on the sides, on the front, at the back, to give it more of an off-road appearance. Check out this ocean, it's really cool. So you can also get an M Sport model, which means that most of these gray parts are in the same color as the rest of the car, and some parts are black, and that is supposed to give it a bit more stance and visually make it lower than this. So as you can see, we've got this frozen gray part in here, and it's sort of the off-road spec, but still with an M touch. Hence the M logos, hence the M key, the M wheels. And well, this is a first, or we haven't seen this for a long time. The BMW logo on the C pillar, and it's sort of a wink to the BMW 2000 CS and the 3-liter CSL Batmobile, sort of with that big spoiler. Those cars also had those logos there, and I think this looks really cool. So guys, let me know, what do you think? What do you think of the new BMW X2? I quite like it, I have to say. So we've got a new grille, which is trapezium shaped. I don't know if that's an English word, but we'll do it with trapezium shaped. And for the first time, the bottom end of the grille, of the kidney, is wider than the front, than the upper part. So that gives it quite an aggressive look and quite a sporty look as well. So it's based on the X1 platform, but it's actually more than 7 centimeters lower. So that's why you get that fat, muscly shape that I quite like. We've got a rear spoiler as well in that M Sport X spec. We've got a 20D X-Drive standard on the 20D and 2 huge exhaust pipes. And they say that this is actually as large as the exhaust on an X6M. So an X6M has 4, of course, but this is 90 millimeters. We've also got new rear lights. At BMW they sort of have 2 different types of lights for the SUVs and the coupes. So the SUV has sort of a T shape and the coupes have an L shape. And this is supposed to be a combination of both. But I think it's a very handsome car. Yeah, it's cool. So let's take a look inside. Because this is also new. These seats are new. So this is Alcantara or micro cloth in here. Alcantara micro cloth with a hexagon shape inlay, and they are seriously, they are one of the best seats. These are so supportive, and they just feel really good. They are very snug as well, with adjustable side support. And well, everything is like that, so everything is covered in that Alcantara, and this micro cloth in here as well, with yellow stitching going all the way around the car. So on the seats as well, on the doors, so on the center console. So that looks really good. And when we get in, we see that the entire dash and center console have been aimed at the driver, more so than in other BMW models, I think, or I think to know. Some storage down there. Hill descent control. So it's still an SUV. It's still supposed to be an SUV. And we've got a new gear lever, which I don't really like. Doesn't really look that premium to me. And something you immediately notice when you sit here is that you sit quite high up. And my seat can't go lower. So this is it. Very unlike BMW. But it does make sure that you have sort of a higher seating position. You have an overview and you feel more or less driving an SUV. So let's put this in here and start it up. So let's go for a drive around this beautiful coast road. Coast road, is that a word? I don't know. Coastal road. Where is my buddy? Oh, there he is. Okay, so let's wave goodbye to the big waves. Wave, wave, haha. And go for a drive. So the weird thing is, with this car, they had to sort of marry the X and the M parts of BMW. They wanted to make a sporty coupe SUV, and as I said, based on the X1. So in essence, this X-Drive system is a front-wheel drive system. If you get an 18i, for instance, an S-Drive 18i, that's a 3-cylinder, it has front-wheel drive. So does it really mean that calling something an M Sport makes it sporty? That's what I want to find out today, because it does look cool and it does look sporty. Especially with this M Sport X pack, you get sort of that off-road look as well with those great parts. It has a lowered ride height if you select the M Sport and M Sport X packs as well, by about 10 millimeters. So they really do try to make this as sporty as possible. And you can also get the M Servotronic power steering system, which means that you get a more sporty system, which is a bit heavier. And we know from other BMW M and M Performance cars. This engine, the 20D, has 190 horsepower, 400 Newton meters, and it's the second most powerful diesel. So you can also get a 25D with 231 horsepower and 450 Newton meters, and that is the one to have, I think. We drove that X1 25D and we absolutely loved it. That engine in that car is just a dream. And there will be more models coming in March 2018, so like a 20i and an 18D, I believe. So eventually they will have 4 petrol engines and 5 diesel engines available in the X2. And I think those will be the only engines you will be able to get in the X2, because looking at the X2, I immediately thought, well, what about an M40i or even an X2M? That would be awesome, I think. But I talked to one of the BMW technicians and I asked him, well, what about an M40i? And he said, well, it's not really possible because of the limited space in the engine compartment. So the B58 6-cylinder engine from the M40i models doesn't fit in here. So that's too bad. Okay, so let's put it in sport. Yes, and see what it's like to drive on this lovely road here. The power steering changes immediately, so it gets a bit heavier, and the suspension tightens up as well, so it's quite firm actually. And the engine, well, of course, it's quite distant, so you don't really hear it. I mean, that's full throttle, nothing. But for a diesel, let's be honest, that's a positive thing, because you don't want that diesel-y sound coming through here. But it feels quite punchy. We've got an 8-speed Steptronic gearbox, automatic gearbox, which as always does its work perfectly. So this is the part going up. This is where you'd really want that 25D. You feel that it's struggling a bit, but it is not bad at all, this car. It actually feels really, really well made, this chassis. I think tightening up that chassis from the X1 really makes a big difference, because the X1 is not a sporty car at all, and this really feels a lot better. So it actually drives as good as it looks, and I didn't really expect that. It really does deliver on that promise of sportiness, of that M touch. But this is incredible. It's so tight and it's so level. I mean, you sit quite high up, so it's kind of a weird experience. It's a similar experience to driving an X6M, for example, which is a very big compliment. Okay, so this is really impressive. If you are looking to buy an X2, I would definitely recommend getting either the M Sport pack or the M Sport X pack. Both give you this really, really great chassis, that lowered ride height, that stiffened up suspension. Brakes are really nice as well. This is seriously impressive. So if you switch back to driving regularly and put it in comfort, it drives like you'd expect it to drive. It's comfortable. That diesel engine, if you're not straining it, if you're not, you know, going full attack mode 100%, it's really nice. And if you drive it on that 400 Newton meters of torque, it's more than enough. It's just when you really start pushing it, I would like that 25D engine, or maybe a petrol engine, but that's up to you, of course. But going into this introduction of the X2, I'm always a bit skeptical when car manufacturers try to do more than one thing in a car. And BMW obviously really wanted to build a sporty, compact SUV. You know, completing the lineup or filling a gap between the X1 and the X3. Whereas when you look up, you have the X4 and the X6. So there was a gap there, and of course BMW went for it. But it's much more impressive than I imagined, really. And I think it's probably the best looking car in the X lineup of BMW right now. So I think that's it for this POV review. I hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe by clicking on the little icon in the bottom right corner, and you can follow us on social media. For instance, on Instagram, we regularly post Instagram stories of the stuff we're doing. So like if we're recording right here on the beach, then you could see that over there. And if you want to learn more about that X1 25D I was talking about earlier, click up here for that review. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.